Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and I'm reading for Pisces today. Oh, my words aren't coming out. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm reading for Pisces today for November. Now I'm sorry your reading's running on the later side. It's been a really busy sort of period for me. So yeah, but I'm here now and I've been like, I can't keep Pisces waiting. Nothing too crazy for you today, but the cards really wanted to talk and they seem to be talking about a relationship that you have. It seems to be a very significant and important relationship for you. I don't know who it's with. I don't know if this is a romantic partner, if this is somebody that is literally here on earth and you have kind of like almost a psychic connection. And when I say psychic, I talk about like the Two of Cups. So the Two of Cups in the tarot to me specifically means those kind of relationships in your life where it's like you can almost read each other's mind or tell, finish each other's sentences, you know what each other are thinking. It's like you vibe on the same wavelength with this person and you know them so well. It's kind of like you know them as well as you know your own mind. They're showing me the back of my hand. So I think they're trying to show me like you know people say I know this place like the back of my hand. It's almost like you know the back of each other's hand, like you know each other that well. I don't know, maybe that's like an in joke or something. Maybe that'll mean something specific to somebody. Oh, look at this as well. Yeah, or maybe maybe somebody like me has got like wolf hands because you've got wolf here. I always say I've got like wolf feet. If you imagine what wolf feet look like, they're kind of like sinewy and skinny. I always say that's my feet. But maybe that's like significant. Maybe this is like what somebody's like. You see they've got like very kind of like veiny, kind of knobbly hands. Maybe you and this person have like the same hands. Like if you put your hands side by side, like your hands match. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. That's not going to be for everybody. It could also be something about Mercury or Mercury placements. So that'd be Germany. Maybe Germany's significant. Gemini and they're giving me Germany. It's like Gemini and Mercury together is coming through as Germany. Um, oh my God, concentrate. Gemini and Virgo placements. No, they're really giving me Germany strongly. I can't get away from it. Maybe somebody's from Germany. Maybe somebody's visiting Germany. Maybe there's something specific about it. It's coming through strong. Okay, it doesn't have to be for everybody. I'm reading generally collective Pisces energy. It's not anyone's personal specific reading, although personal specific messages may come through. I don't know who I'm reading for, just to kind of like remind everybody about that. Yeah, so it seems to be talking about this relationship. And like I say, if this isn't somebody that you know in the 3D, it's got this real kind of almost like mind reading or kind of ethereal connection to it. So it could even be maybe somebody that it could be somebody that you've not seen for a long time. Like you could have lost touch with them, but it's like you still kind of feel them. Or it could be even somebody who's on the other side, like somebody who's passed over, or even somebody who you've never physically met, but it's like they're like a dream person or a guide for you, right? It's like you know this person almost psychically, like it's like you know this person on a different wavelength than the kind of normal wavelength that you'd know people on. The reason why I'm saying this is the cards that kind of came out, I wasn't even pulling cards for you, like the cards was just like, hey, we're talking. My heart just leapt. These two are on either side of it, right? The King and Queen of Water. Now typically for me this would be Cancer and this would be Scorpio, but it's looking to me like obviously very water sign and you're a Pisces, so one of these could easily be you. I don't know which one you are. They're both coming through as like equally watery, right? They're like counterparts. So it could be, you and your father, it could be you and your partner, it could be you and a sibling, it could be you and a complete stranger, but you have this. It's almost like it has this feeling of being able to communicate at a distance. Water to me can indicate feelings and kind of like social relationships, emotions, but it can also indicate to me kind of like consciousness. For example, like the High Priestess card where, she's got one, or like, I guess like the star card, like how the star card, she has like one foot in the water and one foot on land. It has that kind of feeling like you've got part of you is in this reality, but part of you is in the dream space. But with you being Pisces as well, like Pisces is a very like otherworldly, or Pisces energy carries this definition of like fantasy or imagination, right? You're ruled by excuse me, you're ruled by Neptune, like this guy here. So, you know, it does come with this kind of make-believe quality. But I don't think this is make-believe. This is coming through as like something legitimate for you. So it's almost like when you sit down and you're quiet, right? And you're very, very still, maybe like when you meditate, or maybe when you're sleeping, or even when you just kind of like drift off in your own imagination. It's like this one, it's like you can hear this one, right? And it's not necessarily like they appear in front of you, but it's like they're sending you messages or something, is the way it's coming through. Through the water is the way it seems to be coming through. And again, flip it and reverse it. I don't know which one of these you are. This one's coming through a bit more strongly, because this one seems to be the one who's working with the water. So it's like this to me. Right, can you see how it's like the water? It's like they're shaping water. A bit like, do you remember that kids' TV show? It was like, was it called Avatar or something? He had like a big triangle on his head, like an arrow on his head, and he could like, he was like a water bender, right? Like airbenders, that's it, like the last airbender. This is like a water bender, right? It's like somebody who can work with, if it's not water, it's like this person can work with emotions, right? They're very good at not manipulating emotions, but maybe. But it doesn't feel like they do anything wrong or bad. It feels like they're just very, it feels like this is the area that they're skilled in, because it's the king and queen of water, right? So the king and queen of water, they're kind of like the masters of their own realm. So if this is emotions, they're like a master of emotions, right? They can craft and shape situations, perhaps emotionally, or like they can, you know, manipulate consciousness, right? They can manipulate thoughts, or the way it's coming through. And it seems, I think the messages, they always come through as a bit kind of other or like far-fetched, but I think we can take them as metaphors and kind of ground them into this reality. The way it's coming through to me is water itself, or consciousness, is a, it's like a transport system, is the way it's coming through. This person seems to be able to send messages through, like back and forth through the water, is the way it's coming through, or whatever the water symbolizes, right? Whether it's like emotional messages, psychic messages, you know, messages through the void, like I don't know. But can you see, to me, it's like he's got his hand out like this, right? In this card, he's got his hand out, and then there's something going on here with, can you see the bird? So here it's an owl, right, on this person's head. And again, I know this is a guy on this card, but it's looking to me like whoever this person is, right, they, when they're in meditation, right, because it's the journey card, and it looks like they're kind of like in a, almost like in a meditation pose or in a sleep pose, right? They're, when they're still and when they're quiet and when they listen to maybe like their inner voice, you know, the song The Voice by, not The Voice, the Voice Within by Christina Aguilera. It's like this person's listening to something else, right? And it's like, that's when the spirit comes in, that's when the guide comes in, because this owl is looking to me like a messenger service. It's funny, I think I compared myself to Harry Potter's owl in one of the readings this week, right? I was like, I'm just the owl, right? I'm just delivering the messages. So then the owl seems to be going, it's like they're traveling through the water, is the way that I'm seeing it. It's like, imagine that it's not a ball of water, but it's like a pipe of water, right? Like an electricity wire, right? So it's kind of like this is the substance that this one can travel through. So they travel through the water, and to this one is the way it's going through. So here, I know it's a fish in this one, but it's like the animal to me is like representing the messenger. So it's like it comes here and it like talks to him, tells him the message, he gives it a message, and it goes back to this one, right? Because it's looking sort of to me like, you know, it's like he's doing something with his hand here. I don't know if you've seen it, like, and then with the giveaway as well, it's like the bird lands on his hand, he talks to it, and he sends it with the new message, something like that. But again, it's looking to me like there's something about these cards where it's looking to me a little bit like, you know, like holding a crystal ball, or holding, it's like he's holding the water. So say, for example, he's holding the crystal ball. I know this reading's a bit all over the place. It's quite hard to explain what I'm seeing sometimes. But can you see, I've never noticed this before, but can you see how it's kind of like red here? There's like this red kind of like blur. So it's looking to me, because this card comes after this card, as though... So sometimes in my readings I get this thing about how light travels, right? And how... So for example, in the device that you're watching this on, the reason why you can see it is because the screen is full of these tiny little crystals. And, you know, I don't really understand fully how they work, but the crystals shift in colour, and this is how you get the image. So it's something like that. It's like how light is, how crystals can redirect light, or like how crystals can be used for... So for example, ice crystals would be water, right? So how ice crystals can be used to pass light through, almost like fiber optic cables as well. If you know how you kind of, you know, you can bend a fiber optic cable. Did you ever have those toys as a child? It's kind of like if you went to like a festival or something, you might get one of these sticks of fiber optic like strands, and you'd wave it around and the lights would be at the end of it, right? But the lights are coming from the battery pack. So it's something like that. It's like the how... So it's like, so it seems to me that, at least in this image, it's... This creature has passed through it, right? The creature has passed through the water, and he's not able to see the bird. It's kind of like, if the bird is here, can you see how it's kind of like almost like 2 dimensions? I was talking about sliding doors today, funnily enough. You know how, what if ghosts are just other people, but they're on a slightly different plane of existence, but you know, kind of like the wavelengths cross for a second, and so we're able to perceive them and they perceive us, but we're both thinking that each other are ghosts. It's like, what if there's this little crossover? So that sort of thing of, like, the bird is there, he just can't see it, but if he looks at the water, he can see where... It's like he can see the residue of the bird, or he can see the... almost like a tracker, right? He can see that it was there, even if he can't see the bird itself. Almost like ghost hunting, right? It's like you can see the evidence without actually seeing the thing, you know. Sometimes people see something in the corner of their eye. Kind of makes me think of that. But the main thing that's coming through with these cards is this idea of kind of like 2 people who are connected and somehow sending messages back and forth through the water, whatever the water symbolizes, you know, consciousness or emotions. So they feel very, very connected, actually. But they have a unusual method of being connected. And then even in my own deck, you've got the ocean with the waterfall underneath that. So a huge amount of water, Pluto underneath that as well. And the wolf, which is so curious, because the wolf to me can talk about a lot of different things, but one thing it can talk about is intuition, you know, instincts, maybe even forgotten instincts as well. Kind of a bit like, you know, sometimes you know somebody's watching you because the hairs on the back of your neck will prick up. It's almost like an instinctive, natural thing that perhaps we sometimes lose connection with in this modern world. Underneath the Queen of Water is this little funny story about the 5 of Water. It's like she feels very, almost disappointed. The 3 of Water, which can talk about, I mean, just look at how watery it is, right? It's all water. And then this King of Fire, funnily enough, kind of behind her. Behind all this water is the King of Fire. So I wonder if it's almost like another character, an aspect of her, or another character where, you know, she's with this one. Sorry about that weird noise on one level, but like also kind of, I was holding my breath, and then when I let go of my breath, it made that weird noise. And then kind of like, but spiritually connected with this one, perhaps physically connected with this one, because one's is always like a physical energy, but emotionally and spiritually connected with this one. And then over here on his side, he's got this whole interesting story about, you know, like this thing, whatever he's doing with his hands, right, creating this, like it's creating this, like he's manipulating water to create this ball, like Labyrinth, right? Like you know, he kind of creates that bubble kind of thing, and then like throwing it up into, he's, again, it looks like he's making the message and giving the message to the birds, right, to the messenger, who's then carrying it. But he's giving it up, right? He's giving it up to spirit, he's giving it up to God, he's giving it up to the astral realm. So crafting something or creating a message, giving it to the astral realm, giving it to, and then it's so curious because the ghost dance is underneath that as well. Like, look at all this, like how they're kind of like looking down, right? It's kind of like these ones. So again, it could be people who've passed over with the ghost dance and the sun. Like the ones who are in heaven, or the ones who are in spirit, the ancestors. It's like giving it to them. And then they're taking it back and forth to this one. Because they're both connected in, it's like they're both connected in the upper world. So again, it could be something where maybe you are talking to someone, it doesn't feel like it, right? He feels like he's in the same realm as you, or vice versa. But the connection is this higher level connection. It's like it's being supported by spirit, or it's being supported by ancestors. So it could even be like two members of the same family, right, who have, it's like they've got the same spirit guides, they're part of the same kind of like star family. But it feels a little bit like, despite this connection being very, very strong, it feels a bit like, especially on this, oh, my left ear is suddenly ringing. I don't know if it's being picked up on the camera, but I'm getting a big ringing noise in my left ear. She feels, and I'm saying she, don't worry about the gender, she, he, they, whoever this one is, this one feels very disappointed for some reason. Now, one of the songs that came through was Birthday by Maisie Peters, which she's talking about, let me just read the lyrics, hang on guys. Oh, just a second, I actually need to just check a message. Oh, that was strange. I actually had a missed call because I went to the cinema yesterday and turned my volume off. You can hear it vibrating. But yeah, I turned the ring off. So I wonder if that ringing in my left ear was the phone call that I missed. That's really strange. Yeah, I may have to stop and take a phone call. Sorry guys, I'm completely distracted by that for a second. Oh my god, it's one of my kids just being a nuisance. Hang on, sorry guys. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so yeah, it feels like you have this, although you have this really strong connection, which is, it's why it's kind of feeling, oh my god, I'm so sorry guys. It's kind of feeling like this, like maybe you were best friends, right? Or you had a relationship that felt like best friends. Because one of the songs was oh my god, one of the, I'm so distracted, I'm so sorry. One of the songs was BFF by Kesha, which is you build me up. So it says, I'm calling up my best friend. Can we just hang out tonight? Neither of our boyfriends are even invited. Because when I'm with my best friend, I feel like myself again. Always make me laugh until I'm crying. And then it talks about all these nice like memories and experiences that they've had together. You pick me up when I'm feeling low. So yeah. And then this was also in Alone by Alan Walker. It's Alone Part 2, which says, then I saw your face, your forgiving eyes, looking back at me from the other side. Like you understood me and I'm never letting you go. We all need that someone who gets you like no one right when you need it the most. We all need a soul to rely on, a shoulder to cry on, a friend through the highs and the lows. So, and then Birthday by Maisie Peters, which says, all my words, right? And I said it can be, water can symbolize like emotions or words or communication in a way, right? Sort of emotional communication or feelings about other people. So it says, all my words you held inside your hand, and I don't even think you even listened to them once. She's like made him a mixtape. And it says, I understand. Waiting around, still halfway hopeful that you'd show. You said you'd call. Of course you won't. I should have known. You're not here, and I'm not surprised. I hate how long it took to realize that you don't remember or you just don't care. It's my birthday and you're not there. So it has this feeling of actually a very, very strong bond, right? This best friend bond. You get me like nobody else. Like really strong feelings for each other. I want to say this is mutual, with it being the King and Queen of Cups. And yet I don't know if the King of Cups is somehow being like caught up in something. And then it's got this feeling of kind of like not contacting each other for a while. And I feel like maybe the King of Water thinks that the Queen of Water is going to be like mad at him. It's like, cause he missed her birthday or something like that. And I want to say, maybe this is you, because your birthday is kind of like around, is it like end of February, beginning of March as a Pisces? So maybe this happened last year or earlier this year, right? Maybe this is kind of like, or maybe this is somebody else. But again, it has this feeling of kind of, is this person going to be mad at me if I show up again? Like, but then it says your forgiving eyes, right? Because it's like this person's been almost like patiently waiting for this person to come back, right? They've been disappointed by the lack of communication, but they're not, but the love's still there, right? It's actually very, very deep love between these two. And warmth as well, especially if this person's showing as the King of Fire as well. It's like very loving and very, very warm. So maybe this is the sort of friend, and I don't know who you are in this situation, but maybe this is the sort of person. Again, it could be friend, it could be parent, it could be a lot of different things, but the really deep feelings. It's almost like two peas in a pod, almost, is the way it's coming through. Or like you're on the same wavelength. Is, you know, like some people just, I had a friend like this, and again, I've not seen them for a long time. They're not a Pisces, but I wonder if they're going to kind of like show up in my life again, where I was best friends with them in school, and we just, like, nobody has ever made me laugh like they did. Like, they would make me laugh until I peed, until my stomach hurt, right? And just the vibe we had together. But we're not connected anymore, right? We've lost connection. Kind of like, I think as you grow up, right, as you become older, you kind of, life takes you in different directions. But when I have run into them again, and when I have spoken to them, it's like that connection's immediately there again, like no time has passed at all. So it could be like that, where two people just, it's like looking in a mirror or something, right? It's like, you're just like me, that sort of thing. It could be something about birthday parties as well, because one thing I did see for you was party rings. I'm going to have to show you what they are, because I think it's like a specifically like British thing, but they're like a cookie. If you're an American, they're like a cookie or a biscuit, we call them in the UK, with like fondant on them. Here we go. So this is party rings. So funny when I have to like show you stuff. I'm just getting a good image here. Here you go. So party rings are like biscuits. I specifically saw one of the pink ones. They're tasty. I like them. You tend to have them a lot at like parties. But yeah, it could be something about, maybe it's like, again, like a child. It's like a kid's birthday party. But then you've also got like Loyal by Paloma Faith, which says, because you don't remember and I think I forgot. So again, this idea of like memory or forgetting. So it's like, it's my birthday and I think you forgot, or like, you don't remember, I forgot. It's kind of like, and again, it could just be, you know, like I was talking about my best friend from high school, how sometimes you get so caught up in things as an adult, right? You have your own kid, you've got your mortgage, you've got your work. There's like so much going on that you just get busy. And then before you know it, it's kind of like, oh, I've not spoken to that person for a long time. Oh God, did I miss the birthday? And it's not that you don't care, it's just that you're so distracted. So it could be one of those situations. But it's also talking, this song is talking about, the way I'm reading it today, and I can read songs differently on different days for different readings, but they're talking about being loyal, right? So it says, because you don't remember and I think I forgot that we made a choice to stay no matter what. And if we're always searching for a love that's perfect, how are we ever just going to see what we've got? Treading water till we know it's worth it, afraid to be the first to open up. Maybe we're loyal, maybe we're not. Yeah, we've got our secrets, but where does it stop? So the way it's reading today is like these two people who have this connection, right, have commitments on their own side. So if this is romantic, and there's nothing here to say this is specifically romantic, in fact it's coming through like best friends, but it could be that if it's romantic, it's like they're both in committed relationships already. Now, when I was screenshotting one of those songs, it was 1333 and I had 33 on my 33% battery. So there were all these threes in a row. And this one also has the three of water. So it could indicate that there's more people involved in some sort of way. So again, it's kind of like they've got the commitments, they've got their own commitments. If it's a relationship, it could be that they're in love with each other, but they're like, but what if this is my imagination? You know, I'm always searching for a love that's perfect and not appreciating what I've got. I've got a relationship, so why am I dreaming of this person? It could be a situation like that where it's kind of like, I don't want to give up what I've got for something that's unknown. For some of you, and yet you're so, it's almost like in the astral, like whatever's going on physically, whatever's going on in this reality, like astrally, like look at, it's almost like a mirror as well. Can you see? It's like there's something going on here where you're reflecting each other, almost like in heaven you are a pair, is the way it's coming through. And again, I don't necessarily think it's romantic. It could be, it doesn't have to be, is what I'm saying. But there's something, which is why perhaps there's this idea of kind of the connection's always there, right? It's not going anywhere. It's funny, you've got like the ocean and waterfall as well. It just feels like really on both sides, like it's all water, right? And water symbolizing feelings and love and consciousness and depth. So what else do you have? Hang on, guys. It's 1414 now as well, so you're getting a lot of number patterns. Why do you love me? So Why Do You Love Me by Charlotte Lawrence. Hate your friends, I hate your mum and dad, I hope they hate me back. I guess for once I'm being honest. Got to be a lot that's wrong with you to want to be with me. It's kind of sweet when we're fighting till someone's calling the cops, but you never blame it on me. You're so annoying. 4 in the morning, you're changing the locks. How could you do this to me? I only love you when you don't love me. Why do you love me? I only need you when you don't need me. Why do you love me? Apologize, never apologize. I hate the way you lie. Here you go, I'm being honest. Narcissist, come on, give us a kiss. Let's have some fun with this. It's kind of sweet. So it feels a little bit push and pull, right? It feels a little bit like, I don't know. It's weird to me though. It's really weird to me. Because spiritually, the cards are saying these two people match, right? These two people have this connection that is a spiritual connection. And yet the way it seems to show up earthly, perhaps, is complicated. Okay, so that is what I've got. So some of the stuff that I've got in my notes, I got the word azalea, and it came through like a name. It was like somebody's name is Azalea, like Azalea Munch. Now, Munch to me, there's a family in The Sims 4, which is like the Munch family. And I was like, is this like a member of the Munch family? Like, is this something I'm remembering subconsciously? So I actually Googled it and it's not. So I don't know. I Googled it, it didn't really come up with much, but I was hearing Azalea Munch. Maybe somebody's eating azaleas. Don't eat azaleas. I don't know if you can. I had this feeling of somebody who's like, or at least in November, Pisces, you could be feeling like a homebody, right? You could be feeling very cozy. It's kind of like maybe you've got like your fire on or your heating on, or like even like if you've not got an actual real fire, it's like you've got your TV to like a crackling fire YouTube video or something like that, and like you've got your warm cup of like cocoa, marshmallows, like campfire, marshmallows over the campfire, and I've got this feeling of like really snuggling inside your duvet, like really snuggled up. I call my son like a pill bug, you know, those pill bugs that kind of like wrap themselves up like in what's that? It's something in The Last Dragon. It's called it's like Raya and the Last Dragon. It's like a Disney Pixar type movie. And she has this bug that kind of like kills itself up. And I was calling my son it because he was like all wrapped in his duvet. And I was like rolling him around in it. So it's kind of like I've got this feeling of you being like, you know, as snug as a bug in a rug kind of thing. You're as snug as a bug in a rug, and you really cozy and just wanting to be at home, right? Not wanting to go outside where it's cold. But again, it depends on where you are in the world. So it could be you, it could be this other person. And just generally feeling like you want to be at home was the way it was coming through. The compass card came out again for you, which is interesting because you do have this card that says journey, but it feels like an inward journey, right? An emotional journey. This then gave me Neverending Story. So Neverending Story, la la la, where he goes on this big adventure, but he's just reading a book, right? So again, it feels very internal. It feels very like a dream adventure is the way it's coming through. And maybe VR. My kid, who's a Pisces, they use VR a lot. So it's like going somewhere without actually going somewhere. Again, like travel through water. This idea of like light traveling through prisms or water, it does come through, and it's coming through quite strongly at the moment as kind of like Wi-Fi and TV signals, and like, you know how like TV screens or phone screens are made up of crystals. And I was getting this thing about like a projection on the sky. So like, you know, at the moment with it being quite cold and the idea of kind of like clouds and ice crystals in the sky, it's like being able to, the way it's coming through is not so much like a project, you know, because there's things like Project Bluebeam, but it's more like being able to manipulate the light in the crystals that are in the sky in order to create an image, but it's not a projection, right? I don't know. I don't understand how it works. All right, I don't understand what they're telling me sometimes, but I'm just passing it on to you guys. Something about the idea of like spirits perhaps being able to travel through water or travel through light, travel through prisms. This came up for another reading, the idea of kind of like traveling through mirrors. And traveling through consciousness. So I had this idea as well, I don't know if I've mentioned it in one of my readings yet, of maybe ghosts don't actually manifest in front of us. Maybe we don't actually hear things in our physical world, if you're interested in kind of like ghosts and ghost hunting. But the idea of kind of like spirits being able to manipulate our brain waves to make us believe that we've heard something or believe that we've seen something, a bit like, because I'm just kind of questioning as well at the moment how my own ability to receive messages works, right? Because I talk about, you know, sometimes I hear something or I see something, I'm not seeing it like, I'm seeing it in my mind's eye, like when you have a dream, basically, or I'm hearing it like when you hear something in a dream. I'm not actually thinking that I'm seeing or hearing things in the real world. But I was having a conversation with someone today about when my grandma saw a ghost. She saw this old man. He came into the kitchen where she worked, and she thought he was coming in to kind of like return his pots to the kitchen and kind of say, hey, thanks for the food. But he wasn't really there, right? So she saw that. I'm just thinking about that Maisie Peters song as I say that, you know, you're still not there. So it's like she saw him, and he was like a full physical person, and then he wasn't really there, and no one had seen him, he didn't exist, right? And so I was like, well, maybe because, you know, when people do have, you know, something that happens to the brain, right? And like they, you know, they get a fever and then they're convinced that they've seen something. So this is coming in with the idea of, I'm sorry, everything's very fractured. This is how things come into me, and I have to kind of like piece them together. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit scattered in this reading. So the idea came through, I think I did talk about this in a reading about how brainwaves work. and how if we listen to certain music or certain sounds, our brain waves actually start to mimic the sounds that we're listening to. So for example, this is like how hypnosis works, or you know, when you listen to kind of like deep sleep sounds at a certain frequency, it helps you to sleep better, because your brain literally mimics the wavelengths of the music, and you listen to the certain musics to make your brain mimic the wavelengths. So this idea is coming through of like, well, what if the idea of like spirits or whatever, wherever my messages come from, what if the way that they do it is through manipulating the wavelengths our brain is making so that we hear a certain thing, right? Or see a certain thing. What if that's how it works, right? It's not really in this reality at all. I don't know. It's a concept. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I believe in it or don't believe in it. I'm just saying it's what's coming up in your reading. Something to think about, something to play around with in November. But it was also coming through the idea of sound frequencies being healing in medicine. So there's this, I think it's proven actually, I think there's actually scientific evidence to say that this is a legitimate thing. The idea of kind of like cat purrs. So cats purr at such a frequency that's actually really healing for our body. People have talked about kind of like the potential for curing cancer through mimicking cat purrs. I believe that there was again, this came up in conversation this week. I believe there was a scientist who was developing the ability to break down cancer cells through certain vibrations, because apparently everything has a certain vibration and you can reinforce it. Sort of like plants, you know, like how people play music to plants and the plants thrive. But if you play the wrong music, I think plants really like rock music, I believe. That I could be wrong about that, or classical or rock music. But if you play the wrong music, like the vibration's wrong for them and they die off. So it's kind of like the idea of kind of like complementary vibrations and harmful vibrations. And like the use of this in medicine. So it's all kind of like similar. It's like all this talk about, because I've been talking about like light wavelengths, right? You know, even things like black lights were coming up in one reading, the idea of kind of like ultraviolet lights or UV lights being there, but not being visible to the naked eye. So all these ideas of kind of like, again, it's like almost like with this, right? It's sort of looking to me, like I was saying, it's like it's on a different plane. But if he looks closely enough, he might catch glimpses of it, because maybe sometimes the wavelengths get close enough that you can catch a glimpse of that thing in this reality. Okay, I know I said it wasn't going to be a crazy one, and then it's a crazy one. I hope you're still here with me. I hope you're enjoying this reading. I haven't even pulled your cards yet. So I'm actually going to stop the reading now, recharge my phone, and while my phone's charging, I'm going to pull your actual card spread, and we're going to kind of see what the cards want to talk about next. It may be more information about what we've been talking about. It may be a completely different message coming through. So whatever it is, hopefully I'll be less scatty. Hopefully I'll be able to focus a bit better, and hopefully we'll kind of get you some more information, Pisces. And I do hope these are helpful to you. So stick around and we'll see what the cards have to say next. Back in a minute. Hello friends, okay, I'm back. So hopefully this reading is going to make sense. There could be something about, there's definitely something about childhood, because you've got the song Kids Again by Sam Smith. So the idea of kind of like, we'll never be kids again. There's also something about suitcases, because he mentions living out of suitcases in hotel rooms. And you also had, and I forgot to mention it in the previous part of the reading, but you also had PJ Harvey, the song where she says, I threw my suitcase off she says, I threw my good fortune off the top of a tall building and I'd rather have done it with you. This like Bonnie and Clyde feeling. So I don't know, I'm getting this feeling of kind of like living out of a suitcase, kind of like on the run. I don't know. Maybe this is somebody that you used to get into mischief with, right? It's kind of like you used to have a really good time with them. Maybe you even went like traveling with them, but we'll never be kids again. I don't know. The strangest reading is going to be one of those where I just have to tell you what I'm getting and hope that it makes sense. You also had that No One Sleeps While I'm Awake, which is called Crossing the Rubicon, I think. Or it's from the album Crossing the Rubicon, and there's this feeling of this, like, it's been coming up a lot, and I feel like it's a collective energy, this idea of fear threshold. I was talking about it today and somebody was like, well, what's that? So the fear threshold is like when you're about to go into a new cycle, right? When you're about to make a change or do something that's really different, that you've never done before a lot of the time, and you hit the fear threshold, which is like, for me, it's like the devil trying to make you go back, right? Go back where it's safe and warm and comfortable and familiar. But there's probably a reason why you're trying to move out of that in the first place, right? Normally, so for example, say you were in a workplace. This is just a random example. You were in a certain workplace, it was a toxic environment, but you know, you've got to pay your rent. You're living kind of like, you know, get your, you know, as soon as you get your money, you're paying your bills, you're paying your rent. So it's not like you've got any kind of like buffer zone or buffer period to kind of like leave that job and get a different job. And like the idea of kind of like, I know this isn't what I want to do with my life, I'm not happy here, but I'm scared of making a change, because if I make the change, then it comes with all the what ifs, right? What if I change my job and I go for my dream job, but then it works out to be like, you know, it doesn't work out for me, and then I've lost my regular income from the old job where I wasn't happy anyway, but you know, at least it paid the bills. But then if I go for this other job, see, that's the fear threshold for me. It's when you're about to do something, you're about to make a big change, and the what ifs stop you from doing it. So for me, it's kind of like devil energy, like the devil's trying to keep you to chain to the past or something that's like old or outdated. So I know Capricorn used to get that a lot. So for me, whenever I've gone through something like that, it's always worked out, right? Like it was always the right time, because you do have this thing about like luck and right timing. So for example, when I'd been in a job for like over 10 years, and I kind of had a big life change, right? One of these big kind of turns of the wheel where I thought, I don't want to be doing this job anymore. Like I'm not going anywhere with this. So I ended up going back into education. I bought a house, I had my children. It was kind of like this, and everything shifted, right? It was like a big redirection of the compass all at once. And I was like, how am I going to pay the mortgage if I'm giving up work and going back to you know, it's like, what am I doing? How is this going to work out? But it worked out, right? That's the thing. And it's like, I wouldn't go back and make a different decision. Like that was the right decision at the right time for me, which again, you've got this luck and right timing card. So I want to say there's something coming up where I just heard, if you don't jump, you'll be pushed. So it's not in a bad way. It's coming through like, oh my God, oh, that's what it is. I feel, gosh, it's just come back again. So I was feeling like pressure on my back today, as though I had a pair of hands on my back like this, quite low down, sort of um you know, like the basic, you know, your spine kind of indents where the bend is, kind of like just above that. So kind of like where the bottom of your lungs would be, basically. And it felt like a hand like this. And I was saying, like, maybe spirit's trying to give me a massage. The person I was with said, well, maybe you're being pushed. Maybe they're pushing you, like, go faster or like get a move on. And I can feel it again. So funny, if you don't jump, we'll push. So not in a bad way, in a way where I think our spirit guide, I'm just kind of like giving myself a back massage now, in a way where our spirit guides know what's best for us, right? They know where we're supposed to be, the idea of like right place, right time. So there is a time and a place for all of us, which is giving me a song. It's giving me There's a Place for Us, which is a song from West Side Story. Somewhere a place for us. Which makes me cry because it's a song that comes through twice in that movie or that play, and at one point it's really hopeful and at one point it's really sad. So yeah, it's like, this isn't where you should be anymore, right? I've got, oh my God, now I'm feeling it on my shoulder, right? So this idea of kind of like, this isn't right for you anymore. Spirit knows that there's this other place where you're meant to be at. And it's like, go over there kind of thing. So it's kind of like they're giving you gentle nudges, right? So if this is for you and it's kind of like, you know that there's a situation you're not meant to be in anymore, maybe it is like a work thing you've been thinking, oh, maybe I should go and get you know, I wonder what it's like to go over there. Sort of like almost like a grass is greener situation, but the grass is actually greener. Like you get over there and you're like, whoa, like it wasn't an illusion, it's actually better over here. And again, this isn't a personal reading. I can't tell you what to do, and I don't want to be held responsible if you kind of go, go, okay, I'll give up my job. Like, obviously, you know your situation best, you know what's right and what's not right. But this is probably one of those things where you feel like you're getting a lot of signs, you're getting a lot of prompts, you kind of know, like intuitively, like in your gut, you know, like I knew. Right, I knew, and it was a long time coming before I made that change. I was like, I've got to do something. I'm the sort of person where I'll like really research it though before I do something. I've got a lot of Libra in my chart. I'm like, give me all the information, give me all the details, give me all the facts. You know, where an Aries might just go, hey, I'm just going to make the leap and like, we'll see what happens. YOLO. Oh, that didn't work out. Let's leap somewhere else. Aquarius had this feeling of like being about to make a really big leap. They had this feeling of like stepping stones, like they were going to make a big jump from one stepping stone to another stepping stone, or from this reality to the other reality. So obviously don't jump off a tall building. Like that's not what we're doing here. But yes, I threw my good fortune off a tall building. I'd rather have done it with you, right? And you actually have, right, your reading starts with, oh, sorry, just knocking my, I've got a massive pine cone on my table at the moment. I'm not much of a girly girl. I don't really do the whole, let's decorate my space and make it look nice. I'm not very good at like seasonal decorations, but like I got a pine cone out at one point. It's like that was my effort. Okay, so new beginnings, new moon and beginnings. So it's like new beginnings, right? Endings are beginnings, beginnings are endings, right? They're the same thing. And then success and luck and right timing with Fortune's wheel. I threw my good fortune off a tall building. So maybe it's the feeling of like I built something up just to throw it away. I built up. Maybe somebody's gonna, you know, when the partner throws the clothes out the window, like throws the stuff out the window, like in a relationship, it's kind of like, you know, like normally I see it in like, I don't think I've ever seen it in real life, but you see it in like TV shows where it's kind of like the partner freaks out and kind of like starts throwing stuff out the window and having a bit of a fit. I think it's childish. But yeah, I don't know. But it's like a choice to, it's like rewind time, or a choice to like take a hit or take a loss is the way it's like, it sort of has that feeling of like building yourself up to a certain position and then being like, oh, I don't think I want to actually be here. Maybe I took a wrong turn back in Albuquerque, right? Like Bugs Bunny. I need to kind of like go back a few steps. The reason why I'm saying that is there's definitely something with the numbers at the start of the reading. You've got 2, 3, 4, right? So it's like going in the right direction. 2, 3, 4 always talks to me about one step in front of the other. But then it's like having to go back a step because then it goes 2, 3. So it is like a time skip, like time skips backwards, which again is funny because again I was having a conversation today about imagine if you could go back in time and tell your younger self, like, invest in these things, right? Invest in, I don't know if you can invest in all the things I'm about to list, but like imagine going back 20 years and going, right, listen, you want to invest in iPhones, you want to invest in Spotify, you want to invest in like, I don't know, Amazon, you want to, you know, all these companies that are like have done really well. It's like if you could go back, kind of like Back to the Future with like the almanac thing, like, you know, go and give yourself tips and be like, this is what you need to invest in, this is what you need to do. Like, would you do it? And like the conversation was like, well, you could only do it once, because say you went back once, you've changed the timeline, right? You've changed the timeline and you can't go back to it anymore because it's like a different it's not the past anymore, right? It's someone else's past. So you'd have to go and give them all the information all in one go kind of thing. But I don't know, it's funny that that should come up, and then it's kind of, but it's success, right? Beginning, success, and looking right timing. So it could be the beginning of success for you. And not only success and fortune, but also power with the dragon. Success, fortune, and power. It's like it's all coming your way. It's almost like you're about to step into Emperor energy. But it's kind of like you've got to, I'm hearing take a loss before you take the win. How does that work? Like they're showing me Monopoly as well. Take the loss before you take the win. It's like take a hit, like take a strategic hit. So I guess that would be something like, now I'm not the best person to advise on kind of like financial matters, but it'd be something like, okay, if we remortgage, we're going to have to pay I don't know, £5,000 for the process, you know, for the legal fees, for you know, conveyancing. I don't know what you'd pay, right? Like, but if I remortgage, if I do this certain thing, there's going to be a cost, right? But there's going to be an initial hit in this initial moment. There's going to be a hit, but the actual remortgage itself is going to save me money in the long run. So after 5 years, I'll have made back what I've spent on that, and I'll be in like, and then I'll be making a lot more money. So it's almost like taking a hit now in order to make a strategic move that's going to pay off in the long run, is the way that that kind of feels. Again, it could be something like taking a pay cut in work to keep the company in business, or taking, you know, not taking your bonus so that you can avoid layoffs or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna say this is where this comes in, because I'm just looking at the underlying. Oh God, he's right there. Sorry, this deck is really. You've not got many cards from this deck, but it's really talking to me. Like, look with the King of Water and the King of Air behind. Because the King of Air is the King of Strategy, right? And there's that King of Water again. So there's something going on. So it was like this. The cards were like this. This one fell out. It was on the bottom of the deck, and this. So I flipped I finished. I finished shuffling the cards to get the cards out for your reading, and I always flip the deck and look at the underlying like this, and that also talks to me. It's kind of like a big picture, right? It's kind of like, this is something that's going on that you need to know about to contextualize the rest of the cards, is the way that I read the underlying. But the bottom card, which would have been the top card, kind of fell off like this. So it's like they both wanted to be seen. And can you see they're both this little fairy, which is funny because I was talking about Tinkerbell in Aquarius's reading. So this little fairy is looking to me like he's looking at it and she's offering something, but then she's saying, redirect, right? Can you see she's pointing? So this card to me always looks like a redirection. It's like, go that way. I'm going to give you this gift and you need to go that way. So it is looking to me like the two, right? It's almost like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. You know, I was talking about BFFs. It's like they're like the bonded, right? Like they are a pair, right? So I'm going to give you a gift. The Four of Earth as well is kind of like a blocking card to me. It's kind of a shield or a stop. So it can talk about saving money. And then the Seven of Pentacles is kind of like I say, stepping stones, kind of like, if you follow these steps, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will be where you need to be. So stop. Don't go this way. I'm redirecting you. My gift is the gift of redirection. My gift to you is that I'm almost spinning your compass or sending you off on a new quest, right? To go that way, even though he was originally trying to go this way, I want to say. And even though he's reluctant because he wants to go with her, he has to go that way. So, and then the Five of Earth underneath that. So maybe something about it being the wrong time before, right? Stop. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's kind of like, here's the new, sorry, I'm gonna have to move that. Here's the new beginning, right? So he was perhaps trying to go that way, right? But then the fairy came and said, don't go this way. It's not the right time for the new beginning. You have something to build up, or you have something to achieve first. Right, this is the strategy, right? So it's not the right time for that now. And then she's a fairy as well. Look, I've only just realized she's this little fairy too. So maybe she's waiting, right? Maybe she's waiting at the gate because it's like he's gonna come back around to this point. I don't know. Right, so then, like I say, you have power and dragon. Now, the really interesting thing to me, as some of you may know, I talk about my dragon guide, which is it might be like, you know, the idea of like your own shadow, right? Your own intuition protecting you, your own instincts protecting you. It's like something big and powerful, and like the id, right? It's something that's old and again, it could, I don't know, I give things names and I try to interpret things, but I don't really know. So the idea of kind of like maybe like I do consider the dragon to be, I'm feeling behind myself because it's kind of like that's where it is, right? It's behind me. So the idea of kind of like a guardian spirit protecting you, whether it is just a manifestation of my own subconscious, right? Or whether it is some kind of not exactly an anthropomorphic, but a dragonpomorphic way of understanding something that is other or spiritual, right? I call this specific guide the dragon, and it comes through like a guardian, right? Like, what's that? What is that? That's not a little dead fly. It's a little dead fly. Ew. It's a bit of a scary sign. On the serpent card, I mean, dragons are serpents. So the maiden and the guardian, which is funny that these cards came out together like this. So these cards came out before these cards came out, and I was like, there they are, right? The maiden and the guardian, kind of like it, a bit like my cat. So my cat follows me around the house, and it's funny because I go to the toilet and the cat sits between my feet, a bit like a dog, and it like guards my feet while I'm on the toilet. So it's kind of like that, right? It's like it's something in spirit that kind of guards her while she sleeps. In the forest as well, it's so funny. And the swan and Neptune, that's your ruling planet. So when these cards came out like this, I was like, thank goodness the guardian is here, because these two cards together, especially because if you're familiar with the Kim Kran's The Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, they have two cards in that deck called like the Forest and the Maiden, and the Maiden's vulnerable in the forest, right? It's like the princess going into the forest, like a Grimm's fairy tale, where, you know, she's innocent and vulnerable and naive, and so going into the forest is a huge scary place for her. You know, it's not safe for the young girls to wander through the forest. Think of like Little Red Riding Hood, you know, Hansel and Gretel, all these kind of stories. So these two cards together would be a worry for me. And then the guardian was with the maiden like this. And I thought, well, there's nothing to fear, right? The maiden with the guardian can go in the forest because she has spiritual protection. She has a guardian spirit with her. Right, so the maiden with the guardian is safe in the forest. She can have the experience, but with a protector is the way that comes through. So to me, it was a relief. I had the feeling of, thank goodness the guardian is here. That's how that came through for me. So the dragon isn't bad, right? The dragon is protective as she sleeps. So it could even be talking about consciousness, because this is followed by depth and the lake, and she's plunging into the water, right? She's seeing the things that are hidden, right? She's seeing the parts of the castle that no one's supposed to see because she's taken this plunge. So perhaps it is the plunge into not necessarily a new space, but a new consciousness, a new realm of consciousness. It could even be something as simple as, again, just to kind of ground it in reality. It could even be reading a new book, right? I mentioned Neverending Story, so it could be something like that, right? I want to have a new experience from the comfort of my own home, because you had that whole pill bug thing. So if I open this book, it's going to transport me into this magical realm, and I'm going to have this whole new experience and this whole new, it's almost like, I think sometimes when you read a book, especially if it's like a fantasy book, so I've been mentioning fairy tales, right? Like Stephen King's fairy tales book, or I mentioned Tolkien in someone else's reading. The idea of like, if you read another, Harry Potter is a brilliant example. If I read Harry Potter, if I sit down and open that book, I am transported into the mind of J.K. Rowling, which I know not everybody's a big fan, but like I am transported into the consciousness of Terry Pratchett, right? I'm suddenly inside somebody else's mind when I open a book and read their thoughts and stories and ideas and concepts and characters. I'm suddenly immersed in this world that is somebody else's internal reality, right? Because in order to write a book, it has to come from inside first, right? It has to come from ideas and visualization and dreams and concepts, which is internal to that person. And then so to make it into something that somebody else can engage with. So for example, like I mentioned VR, right? If I wanted to make a VR game, VR virtual reality, so you put on the headset and you can kind of like see a different reality, just in case anyone's not familiar. I assume most people are. So I want to make a computer game for a VR headset to transport people into a different world. I know what I want this world to look like, so I can get people to create this world, and then other people can put on the headset and be inside my world, right? It's like something like that. It's funny with the dragon and the castle as well, like the imagery of the cards is gorgeous. So then what's interesting to me then is the Ten of Fire comes up and she's like burning all these contracts, or it sometimes makes me think of like when somebody leaves a relationship and you know that relationship they kind of want to forget about it, so you know they do the ritual to kind of symbolically release themselves from that relationship, and they'll kind of like burn all the old love letters and burn all the old photos. I don't like that because I think for me they're the good memories that are worth keeping hold of, but again different things work for different people. But again, it's kind of like burn the old contract. So you've left a job, you're not under that contract anymore, and you hated it. So burn the contract to symbolically release you from it. So the idea of like, what have you been bound to? Where has the dragon kept you chained, right? Where has the devil kept you trained? You don't have the devil card in this reading, by the way. But can you see as well, there's this thing about the wheel. Can you see it's like she's creating a portal through this act of releasing herself from the old situation. By releasing yourself symbolically from an old situation, you open the portal to the new situation. So maybe this is what the fairy needed you to do. The fairy said, no, you can't come in here, because the Ten of Fire, the Ten of Wands is about baggage, right? Sometimes it literally shows somebody dragging a load of luggage around on some of the depictions of this card. So it's like you can't come, it's kind of making me think of, you know, you can't come through the eye of the needle, which has come up a lot in my readings. You know, it's easier for, it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle. And I remember kind of Virgo having this reading where, you know, they were trying to get through a small space, so they had to kind of like stop the car, put all the suitcases through one by one, a bit like, you know, if you go on holiday to maybe you're moving to a different country, right? So you have a lot of baggage with you have a lot of suitcases with you, so but you have to put each one on the conveyor belt one at a time, right? They have to pass through the x-ray check one at a time, and then you can put them back all on your trolley and go. So Virgo had a reading like that. It was like they were pulling off a magic trick. It's like, no, how do you get that through that tiny space? And they were like, well, I disassemble it and voila. So it's kind of like almost like getting a big piece of furniture into a small space, but you have to kind of like take the window out to get it in. So it's making me think of all those things. Where it seems to be kind of like that perhaps is what the fairy was saying, right? Like, no, you can't come this way with all that baggage, right? You have to go and do the work. You have to go and do the steps before you can come back this way. But you will circle back around. It's like, no, go back into the forest, get rid of all this stuff that you're carrying, give it all away, and then when you come back around, you know, you will be lighter. It's almost like you'll be energetically lighter and you'll be able to come through. But it does feel like you have to get rid of some of your power or influence or success. It's almost like no emperors here, right? No emperors are allowed past this point. So if you show up looking like an emperor, you're not allowed through. So what you need to do is you need to go and kind of, you know, give away some of your power, or give away some of your possessions, or give away some of your time, you know, volunteer work kind of thing. So it could even be something like, it's making me think of somebody who I knew who was trying to get into the police force. You know, they ask you kind of like, do you do any volunteer work? Do you do this? Do you do that? And so it's kind of like, you're not, you know, you don't fit the criteria at this time. try it, but we are interested in you, come back in a few years kind of thing, get more experience and come back. So it has that feeling, right? And maybe this is what's going on with the maiden in the forest, this idea of kind of like you're too immature, or you need to have more life experience, so go back into the forest with your guardian and then come back again kind of thing. Or maybe she can't come through because she's with the guardian. I don't know. Take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't, as always. I don't have to understand the reading, I just have to tell you what I'm seeing, which, as I'm saying, is like followed by this vision quest card, right, with transcending. So for example, let me show you the 4 cards like this. It is looking to me like, okay, so maybe you are kind of some kind of maybe you are like an empath, or you do psychic work, right? It's like you sit there and you meditate, a bit like I do. I sit here and I meditate, and I kind of go into that realm, and I come back with messages, right? I come back with energies. So it could be something similar where, let me just show you these cards. That's interesting. I'll come back to that one. But here with stillness and power, right? It's like your power is in stillness. Kind of making me think of Libra's reading, where Libra had this feeling of kind of almost being in the center of Fortune's wheel, like it was a carousel or something, and like the carousel was spinning, and Libra was like feeling like they didn't know which direction to go in. It's like almost every time, oh, it's funny because someone else had this thing about roundabouts. You know, when you spin a roundabout really fast, it's like depending on where you are, you kind of either feel like you're glued to it, or you feel like the momentum's trying to like fling you off. It's almost like Libra had this thing about being right in the center of the roundabout, and like every time they tried to make a move, it's like they were almost glued to the spot. It's like they couldn't get off the roundabout, or they couldn't get off the carousel. But the faster it spun, the more they started to almost take off. So they had this thing about sky dancers, like, you know, like if you pull the string on a sky dancer, they kind of fly up. So it's kind of like they weren't meant to get off the ride here, they were meant to go up, is the way it was coming through. But I don't know what I was saying with that. So yeah, so your power, perhaps similar to Libra, is in the stillness. Perhaps it's the concept of like when the world is spinning around you, right? What's that song, like Footprints in the Sand kind of thing? It's kind of like when everyone around you has lost their heads, like you'll be calm. I can't remember the exact words. It's a really famous poem as well. Yeah, like, you know, when the world is spinning around you, when everything is crazy, find stillness, and that's where your power lies, something like that. And so it is looking to me like falling asleep, right? Falling asleep and plunging into a different consciousness, plunging into the dream world. What's interesting as well is, again, it has this feeling of like you and the other. And again, it could be you and your higher self, or you and your shadow. So it's like, or you and your guardian spirit, because it's got a 2 on here. You see the 2, and then it's 1 and 1, which makes 2. So it's almost like, you know, like this ride requires 2 people. You can't get on it alone. You have to bring a +1. You know, something like that. It's like if you get on the ride and there's not 2 people in the seat, it's gonna be off kilter. A bit like, have you ever had a washing machine that's like slightly, you know, not completely level? Like your washing machine has to be level because of the spinning, right? And if it's not completely level, if it's slightly tilted, the drum inside can kind of like spin in a funny way where it like damages the machine. So it's kind of like, imagine like a ride where, you know, there's spinny rides where you have 2 people on each ride in each seat, but it's, you know, too many people get on one side of it, like it'll spin off center, and it'll kind of like break the machine if you repeatedly do it. So it's like, no, you've got to have 2 people in each seat, is the way that looks like it's coming through to me. But anyway, it looks like she falls asleep and plunges into consciousness and then goes on the vision quest. So it's like she goes into the meditation, or she goes into the hypnosis, or she goes into the sleep, and has this kind of like Libra with the sky dancers, right? It's like she transcends, she, he, they, you transcend, right? You go on your vision quest, you go. It has this feeling of like going higher and like looking down at the forest below you. So it could be the idea of like astral projection, perhaps. And again, remember that the dragon and the maiden, the dragon and the guardian, are in the forest. So it's like the dragon Right, something like, so she falls, it's making me think of A Midsummer Night's Dream, but not. So it's like that she falls asleep, and the dragon, when she's in this relaxed state, the dragon can enter her dream, right? And I know this is like a Pegasus, but just imagine, like, you know, in the dream, she can see the dragon and she can ride on its back, and the dragon lifts her up and she can look down at the forest and like see, if she had this feeling of like, I don't know which direction to take, I feel lost, I feel confused, I feel overwhelmed because all I can see are the trees that are immediately around me. I can't, how can I navigate by the sky? How can I navigate by the stars and the constellations if I can't see over the branches? So it's like in the dream space, this lifts her up so that she can see the entire landscape and she can see the stars, and it gives her this clearer view. But at the same time, it rattles. There's something that scares her. And I'm saying her, I don't know if this is you. The maiden in the story. So like, it's like then she's doing this thing which feels like it's helpful, and it feels like it's almost like part of her mission to do, but it's the rattle scares her, because the rattle, to me, especially because it's followed very closely by the serpent, which is like a rattlesnake, right? And especially like encouragement in the reverse, it's like she hears a warning, or she hears something that sounds like a warning, right? Like, it's, imagine a rattlesnake snaking its tail, rattling its tail. It's like it's a warning, right? It's kind of like, this is something that you should be afraid of. So she hears it, and it's making me think of just now at this point in the reading, Santaro had a reading this week where I can't remember specifically whose it was, but I think it has something like "The buzzing scares them" is the title, and it was like, when you get in proximity to this one, like, it's like you hear bees buzzing and it scares you, is what she was talking about in that reading. It's kind of a similar thing, right? It's like when you step into your power, when you do the vision quest, the buzzing scares you. So for me personally, if I explain this in the way that I experience this, it's like, I have the ability to see the future, right? I have the ability to get messages about beyond my own understanding and beyond my own consciousness. So it came out in Sagittarius's reading this week, where I was getting a couple of phrases. One of them was the idea of like locked in syndrome, which is like a medical condition where you can't move your body, but you're still fully consciousness. And it keeps on coming up. And that also came up in one of Santaro's readings. And I was like, because I really respect her as a reader, I think she's really, really experienced and talented. And she's one of my favorite readers. And so when I get something in my readings and she's saying the same things, it's like a huge validation for me as a kind of an apprentice reader, you know, somebody who's not as accustomed to using their abilities. And so so the fact that she was talking about similar things and saying the same words, right, did validate what I was getting to me. And so this idea of kind of like I got locked in syndrome, and I got stuck on the name Catherine for a while. And then I went on Netflix, I think it was like the day after, and there was a TV show called Locked In, and I thought, haha, how funny. I would mention that in Sagittarius's reading. And I was even talking about how sometimes I predict TV shows. It's like, I don't know what I'm predicting. I just say what I'm getting. And a lot of the time it is just a movie that's out, or a TV show that's about to come out, or, you know, something that's going on in the newspapers. And so yeah, I kind of like opened Netflix, I saw it, and I was like, oh, locked in syndrome, how funny. I was saying those literal words in Sagittarius's reading, and I looked at the blurb, the description, and the main character was called Catherine. And it upset me because I think I get frustrated sometimes where I feel like I'm trying to help people and I'm trying to do something useful that I feel like I've been called to do, right? I didn't ask to do this. It was just something that was kind of thrust upon me. Just like Malvolio. It upset me because I thought, what's the point in doing this? What's the point in investing all this time in doing my readings if it just turns out I'm predicting TV shows, like, and I'm not actually helping anyone? What if I'm confusing people? So it upset me. So it's the same sort of thing of like, and sometimes it scares me because sometimes if if I'm channeling collective consciousness and it's like Halloween, right? And a lot of people are watching scary movies and, then it gets in the collective consciousness. And then I'm picking up on really quite dark, scary things in my channelings. And I think, how can I possibly talk about this in a reading? Because it's going to scare people. And I'm scared, right? Because I don't know what I'm channeling. And then I'll watch a TV show and be like, that scary TV show I watched was everything that I was channeling. I was just channeling that TV show. What a relief. So, yeah, it's a similar thing of kind of like, I want to say, Pisces, you have this ability, you have this power to see, right? To go into a higher plane of consciousness and see things on a, it's like you can see the lay of the land. And yet it scares you. But at the same time, the work you're doing, the vision quest you're doing, I want to say what's making the noise, almost what's making the rattle, is that you seem to be attracting, it's like you're attracting energies or you're attracting attention. So the way that I was reading this was, I'm just making sure I'm understanding it correctly. Something like, when you shine your light. So, for example, when I do meditation, I imagine I either imagine like a diamond sort of in my heart, and then a tiny white light inside it, and this kind of radiates out, right? And I kind of grow that white light energy around me. Or I will focus on the idea of kind of like the center of the sun and how brilliant white that would be, and imagining that light just kind of like filling the room. So I always focus on this kind of like bright white light and kind of expand it. So here, where it's kind of like you have your own light, right? This is, for example, it's your soul. So the white light when I meditate is my own soul that I'm kind of focusing on and kind of growing and expanding and working with. And when I do that, when I shine my light really brightly, kind of like, look how she's expanded it here, and it looks really joyous, right, as well, right? It looks really attention seeking in a way. It's kind of almost like being in the spotlight. So you make your light big, and it's like all these other souls, because these are like other people's lights, right? Almost like come towards you, almost like a lighthouse, or not a lighthouse, because lighthouses say stay away, right? Like a give me candle in the wind, like the Elton John version. Like, okay, like a beacon, like a flashlight in the darkness, like a really bright light. And so there's all these others who perhaps are feeling quite lost, who are coming towards you. I went around the park again, kind of using my little spirit box app, and at one point in the park where the sun comes really brightly through the trees as well, it's like a clearing, it said she's stuck here or something like that. It says she's trapped here, she's stuck here. And I was like, well, who's stuck here? And then it said, I am stuck here. I got an intelligent response, right? So it's almost like two people were talking to me, one saying she's stuck here, help her. And then I said, who? And it was like, I'm stuck here, So it kind of like, I need to go back and kind of like do my whole white light thing in that area to help whatever's there. And again, it could just be, there could be nothing to it, right? I could just be telling myself stories, and it could be completely random that this thing said those things. As I say that, my phone goes off. But yeah, maybe I do need to go and kind of shine my light for those others. I don't know, right? So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like, almost like, imagine you're stood in the middle of a forest and it's completely dark, and you light a candle in the middle of the forest, and you make that candle grow, and then you make a campfire, and then like the sparks are going up from the campfire, and you've made this really warm place, this warm clearing, and then all these kind of like other people who are lost in the forest kind of see that light and use it as a navigation tool. It's like you're bringing people towards you. So again, this could just be talking about your love, right? Your heart, Pisces, because Pisces has a really big heart. And remember how I said it's like you have this feeling of like being at home and being really cozy and having your fire on. It's kind of like you're the warm house on the cold night. So people are, wanting to come towards you and get closer to you and warm up by your light is the way it's coming through. But as they're doing it, like as these what people are approaching, it's kind of like they're rustling in the forest, right? It's like they're rustling the undergrowth. They're making these scary noises. They're making the rattling sounds, which is scaring you. So for example, you know when people go ghost hunting and like, please make a sound, please knock, let us know you're here, and then they hear something knock and they freak out and run away, right? It's kind of like, well, it did what you wanted them to do and now you ran off. So it's kind of like, it's not a bad thing, but it's unfamiliar, so it scares you. I want to say it discourages you, right? It makes you feel unequal, or it makes you feel because there's like something about the size difference, right? It's like this big thing and this little thing. It's like it makes you feel, especially if it's the maiden and the guardian, right? Especially if it's kind of like you're aware of the guardian coming closer to you. It's kind of like a big thing that could hurt you, right? It's like, imagine being in the forest and you're this maiden and it's like the wolf steps out or the dragon steps out. It's kind of like, oh, that thing's bigger and scarier and tougher than me, right? I am discouraged. I'm scared of it. Although it seems to be here to protect you, I don't understand it. Again, I could just be predicting a TV show. I actually have to run and get my son from school soon, so I do kind of need to wrap up. But then it goes into the unknown, right? It's interesting. She's kind of like blindfolded as well. So it's kind of like, this is where I was talking about the fear threshold, right? Where, you know, you feel, it's like you feel this energy coming towards you and you want to run and you're discouraged and you're scared. But it's like you stand your ground, even in the face of the unknown thing. And it pays off for you. I want to say it pays off really well, because then it comes in with like gratitude, which you actually have twice. Look on this same row. So there's 2 cards in between, so it's like 4 cards, but it's gratitude. It actually goes gratitude, wisdom, miracles, and then gratitude, right? So it's kind of like, because you stand your ground and you face your fear, it's almost like you're showered by, you see how it turns from, with all these lights, it's like these lights are raining down. It's almost like not the sky's falling, but the stars are falling down, right? It's like you're showered with gratitude, you're showered with thanks. Again, maybe you are doing some spiritual work, right? You're putting people in touch with their ancestors, you're getting messages from people's passed over loved ones. So people want to thank you, they have gratitude for this, you know, for this miracle, perhaps with miracles. Because perhaps you're showing other people your wisdom, or you're passing on your knowledge or your power. And so here with motion and air, it's almost, it came through like that, but it's looking to me like this, right? It's looking to me like, hearing like making it rain, right? So maybe there is something financial to it. But you've also got this card as well, right? So it's like you met the dragon, right? You met the Pegasus, you met this magical creature. It was a miracle that this thing existed, right? And you had to overcome your fear of it. And now that you are almost acting like a spokesperson or a leader for them, because there's more of them, right? There's more. It's got this feeling of like there's more coming. You know, word has spread. There's more coming. And then, but they're coming because they're grateful. Because, so for example, you do have the ability to, you are an empath, you can hear ghosts, right? As an example, and it could be a lot of different things. So you're an empath, you can hear ghosts. The ghosts tell the other ghosts, right? And so there's more coming, word is spread, that you can get the word out. You can be the spokesperson for the others, right? So they're all wanting to talk to you. They're all wanting you to, do what you do for them, right? So this is then followed by, really interestingly, it's got this feeling of like, I want more. So it's like when you do it, even though you were scared, it's like you overcome the fear, and then it's like you want to do it again, or you want more information. It's like you're hungry for more wisdom. Can you see, I'm seeing both of these as like you, like trying to get back up. Because here, it could even be that feeling of like, I had a really nice dream and I want to go back to that dream, right? I want more of that dream. You know, when you have a dream where it's kind of like, that was such a good dream, I just wish I could go back to it. or like you finish reading the book and it was such a good book, and so you want more, right? You're like, when is the author going to write, you know, when's the next book going to be out, or when's the next TV show going to be out, when's the next season going to be out? It's like you're hungry for more knowledge, right? Because you went on the vision quest and you received some kind of knowledge, and it's like, you know, there's more, right? It's like, you know, you met one Pegasus and you know there's more out there, so you want to meet all of them, is the way it's coming through. You're thankful for this experience. Just put those back in the right way around. Like, it's like with the twos as well, it's like you want to come back together with them. But where you saw yourself as, it's really beautiful actually, because where you saw yourself as unequal here, right, you were discouraged and you weren't equal. Like, when you come back together, when you meet again, why is it's suddenly gone really cold? When you, I have got a kind of crack open in my window, but it's weird that it's gone really cold now. I'm getting that song, we'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when. Next time you meet this one, right, your guardian, the maiden and the guardian, next time you meet, even though they felt like this big dragon when you first met them, when you meet them again, it's like you come together as friends, right? You come together as equals. They're no longer scary and unfamiliar. They don't make you feel small anymore. They actually make you feel like they're reflecting you back at you, which again is really, really beautiful because it's followed by metamorphosis. Look at these two cards together. Like, so this one came out at the bottom, but the next card to come out was this one. So they're separate in the reading, but they came out one right after each other. It's like you transform by being close to this person, like something about sharing your energy, right? It's like you are reflecting each other and therefore you transform each other, something like that. Where, and again, it's going back to the original message of the original cards that were on the table before I pulled these cards out. And again, it's like, it's a miracle with the rainbow waterfall and miracles. It's almost got this feeling of like miracles are real. I'm gonna have to put Taurus's reading back up, because they had the similar thing. Taurus felt like they had some kind of epiphany. It's almost like if they didn't believe in God, they had an experience that made them believe in God, was Taurus's energy for November. Or if they thought that ghosts weren't real, if Taurus was like, we're born and we die and that's that, right? We die and there's nothing. It's like they're getting proof of the afterlife. That Taurus's reading felt like they were having this huge transformative epiphany, and it was like believing in miracles, right? And the unicorn and things like the Pegasus and all these kind of mythical creatures for me talk about, especially unicorns to me, talk about that could never happen, that's not real, and then coming face to face with it and seeing that it's actually possible and actually real. It's like the impossible happening. That's the symbolism of the unicorn for me. So yeah, with the rainbow waterfall, especially with rain, you had waterfall as well, do you remember at the beginning of the reading, underneath ocean? It's kind of like, I can't believe this is real, I can't believe this is really happening. It's like, it's almost like it's a trick of the light, right? But there's something, again, because you have luck and right timing. It's like, in order to see the rainbow, it has to be specific conditions, right? It has to be the sun and it has to be raining and it has to be sunny at the same time. And that's the look and right timing to see the rainbow. So it's a similar thing of kind of like, again, talking about kind of like light refractions and distortions of, you know, things passing through other things and being able to see the remnants of it. Do you remember the water with the parrot that had passed through? And it's kind of like you could see the remnants of the colours of the parrot on the water. It's almost like that. It's like you're seeing the evidence or something like that of being able to come face to face with yourself. Something, I don't know, or this other. It's like it comes back, but on your wavelength. You've got things like dance and Dionysus, which just has this feeling of like celebration and, you know, joy and kind of like consumption. It's kind of like being at a party and having a really good buffet and like some really nice drinks. Like Dionysus has this fun energy. And then the dance as well. The dance is kind of like learning the steps and going through the motions. And so maybe you are having a big party, right? It's funny as well because you've also got Rainbow Gate. And Rainbow Gate is looking like this to me, right? It's like if you get the light right and you get the water right, you'll be able to see the thing, right? You have to It's like you have to get the lighting right. It has to be a full moon. You have to be here on a certain night and then you'll see it, almost. Okay, I've really got to go soon, but let's just finish your reading. I've got about 10 minutes. So then you have this feeling then, again, of gratitude, right? It's like gratitude for the miracle. Again, it could have something about healing, because rainbows can be healing to me. Do you remember I was talking about kind of like how there's some evidence and research to say that cats purr at a frequency that can like literally heal cells. So it's kind of like almost like having that and being like, oh my God, it's a miracle. Thank you so much. Sort of like, you know, the Fountain of Youth, or is it like Lords or something? That's a movie. There you go. There's the movie coming in. I've seen a movie with a lot of well-known Irish actresses, sorry, not British. And there's like an American lady in it as well. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the movie. There's trailers for it now at the movies. And it's like, I think they go to like Lords, right? And isn't Lords like a place where the waters are meant to be really healing? Am I just making that up? I don't know. I should have paid more attention to the trailer. So it's sort of feeling like that movie. Maybe somebody's going watching it. But it has that feeling of like gratitude for the miracle. But then there's also something about her hair. Let me show you these three together. See these three cards together? That like there's something going on with the hair. It's like a particular hairstyle or a shape of her hair. And I know it's the Medusa card, but it's looking to be like, because it's looking to me like she's this one, right? She's witnessing the gratitude. She's witnessing the child hold the grandparent's hand to me in this. Something, because it's here as well. Let me show you these. Oh, sorry, that's so cool. Sorry, there's something going on with the imagery of this. I'm getting a bit drawn into it. Right, so let me show you these cards. So this was the underlying right. I've shown you that power card. You know, it was with the stillness card. Like the stillness and the power. Like that's when... It's almost like that's when the messages come through. You've also got... Let me just kind of show you these as well. So you've got rock bottom, right, with these two... I know it says rock bottom, but it's looking to me like the two paths coming together. It's almost like a meeting point. Like these two are destined to meet, right? The paths are leading them to the same place. It's funny because I said all roads lead to Rome at one point. And then you've got kind of like this energy as well, like the sky writing the fates, new beginnings. It's like it's written in the stars, right? With this kind of like, I don't know, can you see this, how similar those two cards are? They're like literally next to each other like that. And that says Herald of Change, new beginning, Herald of Change. And then there's also this energy of like the Gatherer. So the Gatherer is what I'm about to talk about in a second. So in the underlying of this deck, and this is what I'm saying, underneath power is this card, abundance. And look how similar these are. It's like you've attracted, do you remember I was saying it's like you light the campfire and it's really warm on a cold night in the dark forest. It's like warm and bright. So there's all these others that are kind of like making their way through the forest towards it's like your safe place, right, in the forest. It's like you've attracted all these others that want to, I don't know, get close to you and share your warmth, or, you know, feel safe in the light of the forest. And, you know, when the forest is this dark, scary place, it's like you've created this home for everybody, is the way it's coming through. So it's really fascinating. And then it's kind of got like look at this. And it's like some of the things you've attracted are these kind of like wild beasts or supernatural creatures, but they're not, it's like they're not bad, something like that. It's like something here as well with like the octopus on her head, and then you've got like the Medusa card with the snakes on her head. It's looking to me as though, it's so curious, I've never actually seen this card before like this, or maybe we'll read that card, but it hasn't actually come out in your main card, so maybe we'll save that until it decides to present itself a bit more in the actual spread. We'll kind of let that be a mystery, right, with the Kraken mystery. We'll let that be a mystery a little while longer. So it's looking to me a little bit like, gosh, I really do have to go. It's looking to me a little bit like, maybe people are saying thank you because you've created a safe space for them. So maybe this is literally people who are saying thank you for creating this safe space where we can all feel like safe and supported. Maybe this is like a workplace thing. But for others of you, for those of you who have the ability to be a seer or to be somebody who can open portals for spirits to come forward and talk, right? It's almost like this is, can you see she's even got like a snake on her here? So this is like, you remember at this point where you couldn't see, that all you knew that was that there were souls coming toward you, but you couldn't see what they were, right? It's like you could hear them kind of like rustling in the forest. It's like they're all here now and they're all close around you, right? It's like you're very familiar with them at this point, especially this fox in her arms, right? It's kind of like, and here's the giraffe. It's like, hey, the giraffe came face to face. Like you've got, giraffes indicate Aquarius energy to me, and you've got 3 in your reading, just to kind of say that. Here's the wolf as well. So it's kind of like you're very, very familiar with them all here. You kind of, maybe you've named them all, right? You're used to being in each other's company and environment. Even the snake, even the serpent, even the dragon, right? That perhaps other people felt a bit afraid of. And then this is looking to me like the opening of the portal, right? And then more coming through, right? Do you remember where I say it's like you've met this one, and now you're ready to meet the others, right? You're ready for more to come and join you. This is looking like, you know, like more of the snakes coming through, but the snakes aren't bad, right? And I really need to say the snakes aren't. It's like you're gathering energies to you. Interesting reading. I did want to get, it's funny, this Medusa card has come up a few times. I feel like it came through for, I can't remember who it was, maybe Aquarius or Sagittarius, perhaps. This Medusa card, the idea of injustice, it was like standing up for it. There's been this theme of like women who are angry because of the injustices done to other women this month. It's almost like the scary female energies, the scary female monsters of mythology, sort of like, you know, the harpies and the sirens and the what else, the Erinyes, I think they're called, and the Medusas. It's like they're all suddenly what's the other one as well, the it's like Odysseus kind of encountered it. It was this monster on the side of a mountain, right? It's like all these monsters, all these mythological monsters who actually have been kind of like abused by the gods in a lot of cases and punished. It's like the victims being punished. It's like suddenly these monsters become symbolic of, yeah, what is it? It's kind of like they become icons of, or protectors of women who have suffered injustice. It's like because they're powerful, right? Because Medusa can turn men into stone, you know, we are using her as an icon to protect other vulnerable women. It's something like that. It's kind of like we like that they're monsters. We want to be monsters because if we're monsters, we're scary and we're safe, right? Something like that. I don't really understand it. And again, I'm not man bashing here. There's a lot of great, I like men, right? I think there's a lot of really nice men in the world, but some of them are assholes and some of them need to encounter a few Medusas to be, you know, to learn the lessons of how to treat women properly. It's just how we become equals, right? I don't know, something like that. Let's find out more. What exactly do we need to understand about Pisces' reading here, please? There's only one of you by Nathan Sykes. This thing about words as well. Yeah, you remember it said it in another song. It's like your hand is full of the words and you're not going to listen to them. It says some say our love was just made up words, but I could write a book about how much it hurt. It's not our fault life got in the way. Now I'm just a stranger I knew yesterday. They say there's one chance you get. They say there's one life you live, but there's only one you. Don't want to think about it right now. I'll put this love in a bottle and I'll go to the beach. Lose this pain and sorrow as it flows out to the sea. It does feel like, even like doing a name burning ceremony, you know, like when you want to release a connection, you write the name on a piece of paper and you burn it, right? And it's to say, I release myself from this connection, because maybe even though you love that person, it hurts too much, right? Because you're always thinking about them. So maybe this is a symbolic release from something. But then it's like it comes back, right? It's because it wasn't the right time before, and it's like the bottle washes up again. It's the way that I'm kind of seeing it with that fairy saying, come back later. Lose this pain and sorrow as it flows out to sea. And if it's you, you'll come back to me. But from For now, I'm right here with the memories. Just look at me now. I've got reasons to smile because the birds are going to sing and the rain's going to fall and the sun will shine. I went out when I was doing my little ghost hunting thing. Like when the thing was talking quite a bit, suddenly there were all these robins. I've never seen so many robins in one place. I was like, it was like a flock of pigeons, but it was robins. I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow. And it said in the corner, and there was a robin in the corner. I was like, okay. The sun will shine. Just look at me now. I'm free to fly, but there's only one of you, and you're just what I like. No, I don't want to mind. Oh my God. No, I don't want to lose my mind. My heart's in a suitcase waiting for another flight. The suitcase thing again. No, I don't want to be in the gutter, 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 just lying here feeling all sorry for myself. And then it kind of repeats. Okay, and then can we get the... I'm just going to screenshot. Can we please get a song so I can go and pick up my son from school because it's time to stop the reading? Can I please get a song that is going to make the most impact and do the most good and bring the most clarity for whoever needs to hear it the most right now? Radioactive. It's a cover by Sophia Karlberg. I think it's a cover. I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow as I sweat my rust. I'm breathing in the chemicals. I'm breaking in, shaking it up, and then checking out on the prison bus. This is the apocalypse. I'm waking up. I feel it in my bones, enough to make my system blow. Welcome to the new age. I'm radioactive. I raise my flag. It's a revolution. I raise my flag, dye my clothes. It's a revolution, I suppose. We're painted red to fit right in. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, guys. Can I get clarity on that? Like, whoever needs to hear it, that's your song. Can I get some clarity? Don't you know that my tongue's like $1 million? I can. So this is "Waste My Youth" by Galaxara. All the songs will be in the description box down below. You can look them up. It says, "Don't you know that my time's like $1 million? I could spend it anywhere." Then value your time, I guess. Value your time here on earth. Live in the moment. Aquarius had a bit of that. I hear that line as, don't you know that my tongue's worth $1 million? I could spend it anywhere. And to me, it's kind of like, my words have value. So take that if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I'm going to go and get my kid. I hope this reading's been helpful to you. I hope it's brought you some clarity and direction, or just confidence in doing what you're doing, especially if you're like me and you're doing kind of intuitive stuff, and kind of exploring that and kind of wanting to go further, and being grateful for what you do get, but also being scared. I am scared that I'm doing it wrong. I'm scared that I'm upsetting the spirits. I'm like, I'm so sorry I bothered you. I will go my own way now and leave you in peace. But yeah, just I hope it's brought you clarity. I'm gonna go. I'll see you again soon. I hope this has been helpful. Please take care, friends. And if I don't see you before, have a great Christmas. I know that I'm gonna be busy, so the readings might be few and far between, but yeah, I hope you all take care of yourselves, make those lovely warm cozy fires, gather your loved ones close. You're doing a good job, Pisces. I'll see you again soon. Bye, friends.